Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to All Praise Picks. Today we're looking at the MLB. We have the Detroit Tigers playing against the Los Angeles Angels in Los Angeles on June 28th, 2024. The Tigers are currently 37 and 44, which is fourth place in the AL Central, and the Angels are 34 and 46, which is fourth place in the AL West. And they just beat the Tigers last night 5-0 after a masterclass game from Davis Daniels. And I do lean towards the Angels winning this game as well. The pitching matchups I do think are a little bit closer, and in my last video I thought that the Tigers actually had an advantage in pitching, but Daniels did. He played very well, and I think that in this game the Angels also have an advantage at their pitching matchup. But I got a few parlays for you guys on BetMGM. As always, I'll break down the lines, give you my thoughts, and hopefully if you tap in, we can all win. So this is the first parlay that I have at plus 115. I have the Angels covering the full game run line spread at 2.5 runs, essentially not to lose the game by more than 3 runs, and also the first 5 innings by 1.5 runs to not lose the first 5 innings by more than 2 runs. But I have Zach Plesac, who's the Angels' starting pitcher, to have fewer home runs than the Tigers' starting pitcher, who is Kenta Maeda. So on the season, Plesac is 1-1 on his starts, and his ERA is extremely high at 8.68, and his expected ERA is at 8.39 with a 1.5 whip, but he's only pitched in 9 innings and 2 games overall. And in his 2 games, he gave up 2 home runs to the Dodgers, who are a fantastic hitting team with Shohei Ohtani. And also he played against the Brewers and gave up 2 home runs over 6 innings. And I think that overall the Tigers are just a much worse hitting team in comparison to the Dodgers and Brewers. So I think Plesac has a much better matchup in this game. On the season, Detroit is bottom 10 in terms of hitting and runs this season, and they have the 7th highest strikeout rate on the road and the 8th lowest hits per game on the road. And the Tigers also haven't scored more than 2 runs in 8 out of their last 10 games, and I think that this is another game where they could end up only scoring 1 run or even scoring 0 runs like they did yesterday. Which is why I have them under 8.5 total runs for the game. I just don't really think that their offense is going to flip a switch overnight, and I think really they only have like really one good batter in their lineup, and everybody else is really prone to striking out. And I think even with Plesac's numbers being so high on the season, what the Tigers showed yesterday versus Davis Daniels kind of shows me that any starting MLB pitcher, especially at home versus Detroit, should have a pretty good matchup. So that's the first parlay that I have at plus 115. If you invest 1 unit on this parlay, it'll be 115% return on your investment if the parlay hits. But as always, I would just suggest having financial consciousness and bankroll management when deciding to make these bets. So this is the next parlay that I have at plus 175, and I also have the Tigers to go under 6 runs in this game, and for Plesac to give up fewer hits than Maeda. So Maeda, on the season, he's 2-4 in the starts with a 6.0 ERA and a 5.36 expected ERA and a 1.43 WHIP. But he's pitched over 54 innings when in comparison Plesac has pitched only 9 innings. So his numbers overall in the season have been relatively poor, and there's a large enough sample size to show that. Also, in his last 2 road games, he only had one. This is Maeda. He only had 1 strike versus Houston and 0 strikeouts versus the Rangers. And I think that the Angels' bats overall have been playing very well, so they should be able to get a few hits on him, considering that his ERA is over 6. And I really like this matchup for them, especially being at home with their recent hitting streak. I think they've scored over 5 runs in their last 5 games, when in comparison the Tigers have only scored 2 runs in their last 2 out of 10 games. So I do think that the Angels have a better hitting matchup overall in this one and should be able to get more hits, and in turn Plesac should be able to have fewer hits than Maeda. That's also why I like the Angels at plus 2.5 for the run line spread for the full game, essentially for them not to lose the full game by more than 3 runs. And I think they have a good chance of winning this game and continuing their win streak. So at plus 175, if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, it'll be 175% return on your investment, which is a little bit less than a 2x return, but always great, especially if the parlay hits. But as always, I would just suggest having bankroll consciousness and an overall understanding of your finances when making these decisions. So this is the next parlay that I have at plus 220. It includes three stacks that have under 2.5 earned runs in the game. As I mentioned before, I think that the Detroit batters are not really playing well and have been honestly a bottom 10 team overall in terms of a lot of the hitting stats that matter. And I think their trend of having struggles hitting the ball will continue in this one, even though Plesac has on paper a very high ERA. I think that his numbers will regress positively in terms of lower ERAs in this one. So I also have him at the fewest bases, which goes in turn, or it's closely related to him going under 2.5 earned runs. If he doesn't really give up runs, he likely will not give up a lot of bases as well. And I also have the total number of runs in this game to go under 11.5. I think I do lean towards the Angels having a better offensive game in this one, but I think that overall, like just in the last game, Angels won 5-0, which is 5 total runs in the game. I don't really see the Angels putting up a lot of runs, even though Maeda has a high ERA. I think that they'll be able to put up a few runs, and Detroit probably will not be able to put up many runs at all. Which is why I also have the Angels at plus 2.5 run line spread, essentially for them not to lose the game by more than 3 runs. But at plus 220, if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, that's a 220% return on your investment. But per usual, just have financial consciousness and an overall understanding of your bankroll when deciding to place these bets. And this is the last parlay that I have at plus 333. It's more so just an accumulation of what I think will happen in the game. So I have the Angels at plus 2.5 run line spread for the full game, as well as plus 1.5 run line spread for the first 5 innings. Detroit to go under 10 runs total, and for the total number of runs in the game to go under 12.5. I think that this could be easily another 5-0 game, or even like a 3-0 game for the Angels. And it really just depends on how well Maeda pitches. But I think even if Maeda has a good game overall, well, if he has a good game overall, the total will likely go under because I don't think that Plesac will play as poorly as his numbers would suggest in this one. But also, if Maeda has a poor game, like I would say that Flaherty didn't really play well in his last game versus the Angels, but he still had 7 strikeouts in 5 innings plus. So I think Maeda, as long as he's pitching more than 4 innings, should be able to get at least 4.5 strikeouts in this game. The Angels, they have been playing better, but they are still a lower ranked team in terms of hits per game and strikeouts. They do have the 10th highest strikeout rate at home this season, and I think really only takes a few batters each inning to strike them out. So I think Maeda should be able to get over 4.5 strikeouts, especially if he's pitching more than 5 innings in this one. But at plus 333, if you invest 1 unit on this parlay, that's a 333% return on your investment. So essentially, like a 3.3x for each unit that you put on this one. But I put 1 unit on this one, and I'm excited to see how the Angels play. They've been playing very well, and I think that they continue their winning ways in this one. But hopefully, if they do so, we can continue our winning ways in the parlays as well. But appreciate you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more MLB and WNBA videos coming out later today as well as this week. But until next time, peace out.